if we told you coffee was good for you?
Coffee is the single highest source of antioxidants in the Western diet. More antioxidants than kale, more antioxidants than 70% dark chocolate, and more antioxidants than blueberries.
In fact, what if we told you that coffee is really good for you?
Research shows that 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day dramatically enhances performance in high-intensity exercise, improves memory, reaction times, and overall cognitive function, decreases risk of depression, promotes weight loss by boosting metabolic rates, reduces risk of type 2 diabetes up to 40%, decreases risk of liver cancer up to 71%, reduces risk of Parkinson's up to 30%, and decreases risk of Alzheimer's up to 65%. Overall, coffee drinkers live longer. People who drink 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day have about a 15% lower risk of premature mortality compared to people who don't drink coffee.
And what if we told you that the health benefits of coffee could actually be increased through conscious roasting, sourcing, and processing? Introducing Purity, a health-conscious coffee company. At Purity, we've brought together a world-class team to analyze every step in the production chain from cherry to cup. We make decisions with only one thing in mind: how can we make the healthiest coffee in the world? Here's our 3-step process. Step 1, we search the world for the highest quality organic green beans that meet our exacting standards. Way less than 1% of coffee worldwide fit our sourcing criteria. Step 2, we test, and test again to create a specific roasting protocol for each harvest that maximizes healthy compounds and minimizes toxins. Step 3, we nitrogen pack our coffee within 48 hours of roasting and deliver to your door every 2 weeks to ensure maximum freshness. The result is the ultimate coffee drinking experience. You'll not only taste the difference in our clean, healthy coffee, with Purity, you'll feel the difference.
Our coffee club members report a bright, alert lift with less jitters than regular coffee and much more gentle on the stomach.
Sign up for Purity today, and you'll never have to worry about your source for healthy coffee again.
Good afternoon. Happy Saturday. You're listening to the Ask Dr. Ernst show. My name is Dr. Aaron Ernst, co-host, along with Dr. Chris Demczar.
Happy Saturday, everybody. It's good to see you.
And hey, guys, it's a show where pounds are shed, disease is dead, and you can be set free from your health problems when you become your own doctor.
Absolutely.
We are continuing our series on diabetes, and my goodness, we've been having some fun with this. We talked about nerve-induced diabetes. We talked about toxin-induced diabetes. We talked about the different kinds of diabetes, type 1, type 2, type 3. And today we're going to discuss that third, yet I think most common cause of diabetes, dysbiosis.
Whoa,
that's a big word.
Yeah. What could that
So
possibly mean?
first of all, we have to talk about the concept that I think most people realize we have bacteria on us. And we have bacteria in us.
In and on.
And if you had to say what organ holds the most amount of bacteria, I'm assuming you would say...
Well, I'm going to say skin.
No, actually way, way less on your skin than inside your colon.
Yes, your intestines.
But we do have bacteria on our skin. We have bacteria in our nose, our mouth, our esophagus, our stomach, our intestines. They're all over the place. And fun fact, I think you know this, we are by volume more human or more bacteria.
Way more bacteria.
Yeah, and that's weird to think, isn't it?
Yes,
that
it is.
you listening to us through however you are more bacteria than human. And don't take it to mean go out and take a bath in bleach. It's a good thing if those bacteria are healthy. You know, we talked about this, I think, once in our clinic. You got good cholesterol, you've got bad cholesterol. Technically, they're not either, but you get the idea.
Yep.
And we all like, yay, HDL. We want lots and lots and lots of HDL. And boo, LDL, boo, 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 boo. Now, ready for this? Can you name the healthy bacteria that we want to have?
Something
Yeah.
bacillus.
I know. See, most people are like, I have no idea. I don't know what a good bacteria is. Oh, wait. A probiotic. I bought one at Whole Foods. That's a
There
good
you go.
bacteria. Yes, yeah. So we know so much about good cholesterol and bad cholesterol as a citizen of the United States or just a person. But if I was to pull 1,000 people off the street, I'll give you $100 if you tell me the healthiest bacteria that you should take every day. Guaranteed people are going, ugh.
No idea.
That's a
It's long
problem,
word.
guys. That's a huge problem, but it's actually by design. Big pharma, the powers to be, they don't want you to realize that you need to take bacteria to get healthy.
Right. And I like to use the term useful and non-useful bacteria.
Yes.
Because it's so easy to say, well, what could be good bacteria versus bad bacteria? What it all
Yes.
comes down to is your body utilizing that bacteria? Is there a relationship between the bacteria and the cells in your body that are helpful, or is it harmful? And so depending on which one is growing more, which bacteria there is a more prominence of in your body at any given point in time is going to dictate whether you're in a helpful state or in a harmful state when
Yep.
it comes to talking about your intestines.
So let's use the word dysbiosis. Dys, by definition, is a lack of normal regulation.
Yeah, abnormal.
And biosis is biotic, which is a medical term for bacteria. So dysbiosis, inappropriate bacteria. That's what it translates into. Now, some people will say, well, how do I call this? Intestinal gastric disease, and that's also the same thing. Or some people will say, I have SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. All the same stuff, just, because what's overgrown? The inappropriate or the non-useful bacteria.
Right.
Now, here's what's unique. Your gut technically has more than just bacteria in it. It's mostly bacteria, but there's also a little bit of fungus among us. We need them. They're not mushrooms, but it's yeast and, things like that. There's a small amount of viruses, and there's even protozoa and sometimes parasites. So I don't want you to think that I've got bacteria in here. I got to nuke it, get it, rid it. No,
Right.
no, you need these living things in your intestines.
Absolutely.
And there is a healthy relationship, non-dysbiotic, and then there's an abnormal relationship, dysbiotic. Now, here's the other crazy thing. They've discovered that the term microbiome is used for all living structures in the gut. So when we say microbiome, we mean all of it: virus, bacteria, parasites, fungus, etc.
So not just limiting it to bacteria.
No. So be careful with the terminology, guys. People get lost. Well, do I have a dysbiotic microbiome? Yes. Well, can my microbiome be dysbiotic? Yes. Well, then and it hurts our minds, okay? So when we say dysbiosis, that means not enough good bacteria. If we say the microbiome is dysfunctional, that's the same thing as saying dysbiosis, okay? Now, let's go through this. What would cause someone to have an inappropriate dysbiosis?
Yeah.
And how the heck does that have anything to do with diabetes?
I know.
Because, again, like we said to
getting
you,
there.
and listen, I'm just going to throw this out real quick.
Yeah.
We
too.
have to move the webinar. Unfortunately, I double booked myself, which is classic of me. I'm speaking at a church and doing a webinar at the same time on the 10th. And I don't know how I can do that. So we're moving the webinar to the 17th. It's an easy move for you guys, okay? It's next Saturday after the 17th instead of it just being on the 17th, because unfortunately that church talk was 6 months in the works. It's a massive church. In fact, I'm being told now it got so big that we have to do it on Zoom because they can't even hold everyone in the church.
That's amazing.
So I apologize in advance for those of you last week and the week before who got your tickets and it says September 10th and you're like, what? It's the 17th. Don't have a heart attack. We're just moving the date. But if you missed the opportunity to get the ebook, It's Diabetes Heal Thyself. You and I wrote this. It's one of the greatest books I think we've ever written. The book is free all during the show today. 704-906-2094 is the number. I want you guys to write this down like on a sheet of paper, type it on your tablets, tattoo it on your arm. 704-906-2094. You can call it at any time during the next, 50 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. And
okay,
I want to preface it one more time because it's easy to get this and to say, oh well, what value does this have to me? It's a lot of great information. I read it front to back and it was really cool, but I think I may have diabetes. I may have some metabolic issues relating to my blood sugars. How do I even apply what we're chatting about today to this ebook? You should be able to go in and know by the end of reading this what you need to do to determine if you have a dysbiosis within your microbiome.
Which, by the way, you do, so you know.
So you should be able to figure out what you need to do to start resetting that, and then how to relate your microbiome, the dysbiosis that you have, to diabetes or to any blood sugar dysregulation that you have or insulin resistance regulation that you may have.
Well, let me ask you a question, Dr. Chris.
Yeah.
Can everyone benefit from having a healthier microbiome?
Yes, of course.
Can everyone benefit from lowering their blood sugars?
If it's needed, then yes.
So even a healthy individual, though, could benefit from having 4 days of, decreasing their blood sugars.
Of course, yes.
Now,
That'd be
there are
amazing
points of
reset.
having really low blood sugar, and we'll talk about that today, but that's the rarity, okay?
Right.
90% of people today could benefit from losing 10 pounds, lowering their sugars, lowering their cholesterols, cleaning out their gut, and getting their body healthier.
Yep. Well, and when you look at
don't just say, I don't have diabetes, so therefore I'm not going to do this.
Yes, and when you look at life being so cyclical in nature, if you've just been doing the same thing year after year after year, or even for months, and you haven't had a change, your body needs some sort of change, so it's given a different stimulus to adapt to. So it's a great thing to say, oh, you know what? I haven't changed anything to influence my microbiome in a different way to lower my blood sugars, and my blood sugars have been hanging out. They've been perfect, 90, great, yes. No, you want it to change. What we're going to chat about today is the perfect way to institute a change, institute a reset of your gut microbiome that's going to help not just with diabetes, but with a general reset for your own health.
And one really good way to do that? Change your diet. And guess what, guys? The microbiome rebuilding, anti-diabetic, blood sugar lowering, health restoring diet is where?
In the ebook.
And how much does this cost?
It's free.
Like 704-906-2094. It's that easy.
That's
okay.
right.
What causes someone's bacteria to die and make dysbiosis? Like, is it something I'm doing? Is it something that's being done to me? Like, can you take me through the big steps of what kills off the bacteria in our intestines?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that's going to lead to a change in the different levels, different types of bacteria that are within the microbiome is going to be, and we've talked about this before, but chronic inflammation. And so when it relates to chronic inflammation, we've got to dive into what's going to lead to that. And we already prefaced it by saying what you eat matters so much. So the things that you're putting inside your body, it doesn't just magically get into your blood. The nutrients don't magically get into your bloodstream, right? There's this whole digestive, and then absorption and elimination process that has to occur.
Yes.
And if you're eating the wrong things that are lacking the proper nutrients or that are going to promote inflammation within your gut, within your intestines, that's going to lead to, over time, a dysbiosis to occur.
And what is the thing that most people are eating either by prescription or by accident?
Absolutely.
Because this stuff is used so much in, food production today.
Right. Yes.
That literally destroys their microbiome.
Yep. You're talking about antibiotics. And so it's not just the antibiotics that we take. There are so many animal-based products that are treated with antibiotics because the thought process is, well, if bacteria is bad, then the bacteria within these animal products is bad. So let's kill that bacteria before then we make the animal products useful for human consumption.
And do you know why, listen to this, you know why they're using so many antibiotics in farm animals today?
No.
So this is interesting. We used to use hormones,
right? But
then the FDA and the powers to be, FEMA and PETA and all these organizations, like, oh my God, hormones are terrible. So when a farmer's like, we can't use hormones to make our animals fat, what are we supposed to do? Well, see, here was the thing. there was a study done where they found out when you feed animals antibiotics, they get fat. So the farmers were like, all right, you don't want any hormones? Fine. But we're going to use antibiotics now. And here's what also happened. We, coincidentally, in medicine, figured out long-term antibiotic use is bad. We know this now.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, Big Pharma's sales of antibiotics went way down. They went, well, what on earth are we going to do now? Oh, the farmers will buy it. Now watch this. Did you know you don't have to have a prescription for a farmer to go buy thousands of pounds of antibiotics to feed to their cows?
Actually, I
and their
did know
pigs?
that. Yeah,
so
I've looked into that
no
before.
prescription needed for
Yep.
a farmer.
Exactly.
Now, guess what? Antibiotic sales have gone higher. Because watch this. How many antibiotics does it take for a 180-pound human being by dose? One capsule for
Sure.
the next. But a
comparatively,
5,000
yes.
pound, if they even get that big, a 3,000 pound cow,
Right.
they need 55 pills a day.
Yes.
And so Big Pharma's like, we're not going to medicate humans anymore.
Right.
We still have them, but the cows and the pigs and the chickens. Now here's what's crazy. They're going, well, again, FEMA, PETA, all these organizations, they want now antibiotic-free meats. So guess what's happening? The farmers are like, oh, you guys are idiots. Okay, fine. We can't use hormones. We can't use antibiotics. So you know what they're using now? Vaccines.
Really?
Yes, so the cows are being vaccinated against the diseases they get. The chickens are being vaccinated. The pigs are being vaccinated because what's the big thing right now everybody's talking about? Vaccines.
Vaccines.
So
Yeah.
just so you know, even if it says hormone-free, antibiotic-free chicken, run because that's a vaccinated chicken. And in 20 years, guess what's going to happen?
Yep.
FEMA, PETA, all of them are
The
going to go.
vaccines were bad.
The vaccines are bad. And then the farmers are going to be like, so you want us to raise them the way we should have all along? Yes.
Well, yeah, we're finally back to square one.
Okay, so it's antibiotic use directly. It's antibiotic consumption directly.
Yep.
It's the really, really poor Americanized diet. And this
Yep.
is a big one. This
Yeah.
is a big one because most people don't realize this also destroys your microbiome.
Right. So high levels of stress. So stress, we know that stress is going to lead to a lot of problems within our body, but when it comes to our microbiome, it's going to offset which bacteria our body's looking to produce, and that's largely going to be a byproduct, again, of the inflammatory state, that pro-inflammatory state that we're allowing to just hang out within our intestines. It's going to create all sorts of issues.
So if you want to know how to get the damage of antibiotics out of you, ebook. If you want to find the diet that is the most productive for rebuilding the bacteria, ebook. If you want to find out how you can test the bacteria, watch this. There's a test that will tell you the kinds of bacteria, ebook, and it's free now. 704-906-2094. Hey, you can text with your name and email. We've already had a couple people do that. So 704-906-2094. So here's the conundrum, and I need you to help me to explain this.
Sure.
If I have type 2 diabetes,
Right?
the research says I have dysbiosis.
Yes.
Now, if I don't have type 2 diabetes, but I have dysbiosis, the research says I'm going to get diabetes.
Get diabetes in the future. Yep.
And then watch this. The newest research says
Yeah,
elevated
that
blood
blood sugar
sugars causes
Yes.
dysbiosis. So do you see where I'm going with this? If you're a type 2 diabetic, you have dysbiosis. The dysbiosis is then making your diabetes worse. If you don't have diabetes, but you have dysbiosis, you're going to end up with diabetes, and then that's going to make it worse. So they're now showing that elevated blood sugars, or this thing called metabolic syndrome, is known to make your gut leak, and those microbiome bacteria create an infection that leads to an inflammation that causes a mechanism to shut down insulin production and destroy the membranes that hold the very receptor for insulin.
Yeah,
So can you
exactly.
translate that into American for our listeners?
Let's do it. So
Like,
it's-
what does that mean?
It's directly saying that the inflammation within the gut, once that gut lining opens up and that inflammation is able to seep into the body, it's directly going to go and destroy the cells in the pancreas that are helping to make the insulin needed to control your blood sugar.
So you're
And
saying
now we've
type
got
1
this-
diabetes is dysbiosis?
Yes,
Then they're also saying that dysbiosis causes type 2 diabetes.
exactly.
So it's like we could say the cause of diabetes is dysbiosis. But hold on. Last week, the cause of diabetes is nerve
Nerve.
damage. Remember splanchnic? It's a fun word, isn't it? And vagus. And then the week before that, toxins. So,
And
yeah.
here's the other crazy thing. When we chat about there being a intestinal barrier, like if that's no longer there, right? Once there's a gut leak, once there's this inflammation that allows a lot of the bacteria to start going from the intestines into your body and start wreaking havoc within your body, it's easy to look at it and say, well, look how it's affecting the pancreas, look how it's affecting the liver, look how it's affecting the insulin receptor. And there's lots of different secondary signaling pathways, right? There's millions and millions and millions of pathways that are being stimulated and changed all the time within our bodies.
Keep talking. I see a low battery alert. I got to go grab something and plug that in with.
But what about what's happening to the splanchnic nerves? What about what's happening to the vagus nerve? There's going to be damage from that intestinal inflammation that's going to influence the nervous system as well, because the nervous system's got to respond. Right? And so there's inflammation attacking the nervous system that's going to change the ability to transmit signals along those splanchnic nerves. Then that's going to change the ability for your body to control the blood sugar levels, to control insulin production, to control what's happening at the insulin receptor itself. And so it's so easy to see the cyclical nature, right? How everything has a start, and then when we think that something's ending, it just compounds and compounds and compounds. And next thing you know, that we've got this massive problem where it looks like blood sugar is just uncontrolled, but really we've got this massive inflammatory response that's led to bacteria, the parasites, the microbiome starting to infiltrate the rest of the body and create lots and lots of issues.
Now, I'm going to tease this to our listeners. Everything he just said is extremely defined step by step by step in the ebook. And that's why we keep saying, like, please, for the love of God, download this ebook, okay? We have given this book away to north of 1,000 people. And I'm literally trying to say, can I please give it to you? Now, you might have a loved one who has type 2 diabetes. Send it to them. You might know someone who's at your work that has it. Trust me, they're going to look at this and be like, oh, my God, where'd you find this? 704-906-2094. The number is, again, 704-906-2094. Just text, guys. Name and email, send, and you get it.
That's right.
Now, okay, we got a couple minutes, then we got a commercial. But listen to this. At the University of Pennsylvania, one of the most famous studies that proves what we're talking about was done. And they took diabetic mice and they took non-diabetic mice and they did assessments of the microbiome.
Right.
And they found out there was a marked difference in the bacteria kinds in the diabetic mice than the non-diabetic. So the first hypothesis was, whoa, we can identify by the gut bacteria a diabetic person versus a non-diabetic person. Number two, they took the mice that had type 2 diabetes and they scraped the bacteria out of their colon and then surgically implanted that into the non-diabetic mouse. And what happened? The non-diabetic mouse became diabetic.
Yeah.
Now, to prove it even further, they took the non-diabetic mouse and scraped their bacteria out of their colons, surgically implanted it into the type 2 diabetic mouse, and they not only got rid of their diabetes, but they lost weight. And so then they were like, wait a second. We can make a non-diabetic mouse diabetic by giving it bacteria from a diabetic mouse?
Yep.
And wait a second.
And the reverse.
We can take healthy bacteria from a healthy mouse and give it to a diabetic mouse, and their diabetes goes away?
Wow.
What did they just prove?
Wow. They just proved that the dysbiosis is going to directly cause and influence diabetes within somebody.
Yes. And it also shows that hyperglycemia is risen. Elevated blood sugars are because of the infectious overgrowth of bacteria, the dysbiosis. They confirmed. They even figured out that they can do this with type 1 mice, where they said, like, listen, we can take a type 1 diabetic mouse, give it healthy bacteria.
Yep.
The type 1 diabetes goes away. We can take a type 2 diabetic mouse and give it the healthy bacteria from a non-diabetic mouse. The type 2 goes away. We can take the opposite bacteria, give it to a healthy mouse, and induce it. That's called causation and correlation in one sitting. I know for those sciencey, nerdy buffs, you're like, oh, that's a P-score of 1.0. But you know what this means, guys? They proved the bacteria in your gut are either keeping you from being diabetic or they're making you a diabetic. Now, here's what's even crazier. When we come back from this commercial break, the very medications people take to get rid of their diabetes damages the bacteria and causes the dysbiosis. So what is the drug actually doing?
No, it's just
making you more diabetic.
Yep, perpetuating the diabetes.
Oh,
even
I
worse.
did say this, but we have a commercial break. Hey, it's the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. We'll be right back.
What if we told you coffee was good for you?
Coffee is the single highest source of antioxidants in the Western diet. More antioxidants than kale, more antioxidants than 70% dark chocolate, and more antioxidants than blueberries.
In fact, what if we told you that coffee is really good for you?
Research shows that 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day dramatically enhances performance in high-intensity exercise, improves memory, reaction times, and overall cognitive function, decreases risk of depression, promotes weight loss by boosting metabolic rates, reduces risk of type 2 diabetes up to 40%, decreases risk of liver cancer up to 71%, reduces risk of Parkinson's up to 30%, and decreases risk of Alzheimer's up to 65%. Overall, coffee drinkers live longer. People who drink 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day have about a 15% lower risk of premature mortality compared to people who don't drink coffee.
And what if we told you that the health benefits of coffee could actually be increased through conscious roasting, sourcing, and processing? Introducing Purity, a health-conscious coffee company. At Purity, we've brought together a world-class team to analyze every step in the production chain from cherry to cup. We make decisions with only one thing in mind: how can we make the healthiest coffee in the world? Here's our 3-step process. Step 1, we search the world for the highest quality organic green beans that meet our exacting standards. Way less than 1% of coffee worldwide fit our sourcing criteria. Step 2, we test, and test again to create a specific roasting protocol for each harvest that maximizes healthy compounds and minimizes toxins. Step 3, we nitrogen pack our coffee within 48 hours of roasting and deliver to your door every 2 weeks to ensure maximum freshness. The result is the ultimate coffee drinking experience. You'll not only taste the difference in our clean, healthy coffee, with Purity, you'll feel the difference.
Our coffee club members report a bright, alert lift with less jitters than regular coffee and much more gentle on the stomach.
Sign up for Purity today, and you'll never have to worry about your source for healthy coffee again.
Hi, my name is Gary Greenfield with Greenfield Water Solutions, and I want to introduce you to our newest product, the MR500. It's a whole house structured water filter system. It's set up in an all stainless steel multi-round filter housing. It features inlet and outlet for the water, a bleeder valve for when you're changing out the filters to reduce pressure, and to remove the top for access to the filters. We simply open up the clamp, remove the top, and this plate here holds all the filters in place. Simple to remove. It comes out, and you can see what we have on the inside here. It's 5 Aquamedics filters and a vortexing tube and a harmonizer. That's the whole system. This is designed to filter 5 gallons per minute, and all of the contaminants that it does remove are listed on the website, which is a very broad array of contaminants. These are the highest rated filters that I know of on the market that are filter cartridges. They can be changed out yearly, and of course the process is very simple. You won't have to hire a plumber to do a change out, and the filters are available from Greenfield Water Solutions. And if you want to know more about this, you can read about it on the product page or give us a call. Thanks for watching. That's it for now from Greenfield Water Solutions.
Would you like to experience a better night's sleep? Want to feel well rested and ready for your day? Discover an amazing solution with Celliant Sleep Recovery. Our Celliant Sleep Recovery products are made from a patented yarn embedded with a blend of 13 infrared active minerals. Celliant technology never washes out. The benefits will last for their entire lifespan. Minerals reflect the body's own energy by using Celliant infrared active technology, boosting your oxygen levels and improving circulation to reach REM sleep gracefully. Our customers love to comfortably sleep throughout the night because of Celliant. We've conducted 9 independent clinical studies by well-respected scientific institutions and universities that prove the many positive effects Celliant has on the body. Our technology is designed to help you achieve a refreshing sleep recovery. Experience the foundation your body deserves. Start waking up refreshed and always ready for the day ahead. It's time to achieve the best sleep of your life to unlock your hidden potential. Start experiencing a better night's sleep with our Celliant sleep recovery products today. Celliant. Recycle your body's energy.
To bring you the best natural wine the world has to offer, we've designed a fully curated membership program. Every selection you receive is different and unique. Every wine is picked by our wine team, lab tested for purity, and curated into a special box for your enjoyment. So how does the membership work? We offer 2 main options, a half case of 6 bottles or a full case of 12. You can request all reds, all whites, or a perfect split of both. Then you can set the frequency, monthly or every other month. We offer a similar simple membership for rosé and sparkling wines. After you choose these basic options, we'll do the rest. With every box we send you, we aim to present the greatest diversity of flavors, textures, and profiles. There is a healthy mix of the classics, but also rare varietals. We do this because natural wines taste different from their commercial counterparts. We want to share the best possible experience with you so you can discover new wines you love. And you can always reorder a wine that took your heart, or ask us to avoid certain profiles. The best part is, you don't need any wine knowledge to fully enjoy these boxes. We curate our selections to be enjoyed without worry. Ultimately, this is Dry Farm Wines. We are so grateful to be able to share the power of natural wines with you.
Welcome back. This is the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. I'm your co-host, Dr. Chris Demczar, along with the one and only Dr. Ernst himself. And we're having a really amazing conversation today, we're continuing the conversation about diabetes, and we're really focusing on the gut and the microbiome connection to diabetes today.
Correct.
At the first half of the show, we chatted about how the dysbiosis, right, the change in the bacterial content within your intestinal wall is going to help or hurt your ability to regulate blood sugars and to whether you're going to have diabetes or not have diabetes. And if you're wondering, well, how can I get more information about this? We have this amazing ebook written by both Dr. Ernst and myself. It is completely free. But how many pages are we up to now, Dr. Ernst?
It's about 22.
Yeah, so 22 pages of just back-to-front information about all the causes of diabetes, and specifically, if you're worried about your microbiome and how it can relate to your ability to regulate blood sugars correctly, everything you need is in here. If you're like, well, what kind of food should I eat? It's in here. Well, what are the things I'm potentially doing that's destroying my microbiome? It's in here. But now you got to ask, how can you get this? It's free. You want to text in your name and your email to 704-906-2094. You will be able to get our call center. Will get this ebook out to you. Again, you don't want to miss this amazing opportunity for you or someone that you know that's going to be dealing with this.
And don't forget, when you text, it's your name and your email. Some of you are sending just your emails, and it's like Susie Jones at whatever. And we're like, well, maybe her name is Susie Jones.
Sure.
Maybe. But then some of you, it's like, rockracer46@yahoo.com. Like, Rock
are you?
Racer? Like, that's a cool name.
That's it. If you named your,
So like, just please help our team help you. Text over. Don't say ebook. Don't say diabetes ebook. Say Susan Jones 43@gmail.com. That's perfect because our team knows who you are. They know your email. We have your phone number. And bam, it goes out. So I want to do just two things real quick. We talked at the top of the hour about this connection between the bacteria in our intestines and diabetes. And we just ended our last segment, which I think is like, you guys have to hear this, okay? Because we know what happens during the commercials, right? You tune off to other stations, and maybe we never hear from you again. Exactly. Or maybe you came in just now, and you're like, wait a minute, what the heck is dysbiosis? So let's do a little preview. Dysbiosis is the term for a bacterial change in your intestines that leads to inflammation. Your microbiome is, by definition, just all the living things in your intestines, and there's more than just bacteria.
Yep.
And leaky gut is a colloquial phrase, a common term for the medical condition known as increased intestinal permeability.
Absolutely.
And all of these are in research shown to be a cause of diabetes, both type 1 and type 2. And we just started talking about this University of Pennsylvania study, a mouse model where they did not just obesity, but they did diabetes. So explain this to our listeners.
Yeah.
2 sets of mice, and what did they do to make the other mouse the other mouse?
Right. Well, they took the bacteria that was in the diabetic mouse and they put it into the non-diabetic mouse, and then the non-diabetic mouse developed diabetes.
Whoa.
Now, on the flip side, they took what we'll call the good bacteria from the non-diabetic mouse, and they put that bacteria into the intestines of the mice that had diabetes, and they became non-diabetic.
Yeah.
And so it just proves that the inflammatory state, the bacterial state of your microbiome is directly going to lead and cause diabetes. They proved it right there.
So listen to the end of the study. See, for me, listen, guys, and I know you might be like, what? Like, I need to read a study? Well, technically, to become your own doctor, yes. But listen to this. Quote, the findings in humans also confirm those in mice, which means they've actually done this in human
humans,
studies.
Absolutely.
Little weird to think that like my gut bacteria could be surgically implanted in your intestines,
right.
but they do
No
this
thanks.
stuff.
No.
But watch this. The findings in humans confirm those in mice and indicate, ready for this, hyperglycemia, aka diabetes, is a direct cause of intestinal barrier dysfunction and susceptibility to microbiome infection. Now watch what the lead doctor, can you pronounce that name? Thais? Anyway, Thais, Thaiss. Good luck. Dr. Good Luck said that a systemic influx of microbial products might explain the wide range of otherwise unrelated inflammatory conditions seen in patients. What is he saying? All the crud that we put in us, the antibiotics, the lotions, the soaps, the creams, the triclosans, the hormones we're eating, all of this stuff damages the intestines, causes inflammation, and it's the same thing they see in patients with metabolic syndrome, which is elevated blood sugar, elevated triglycerides, and elevated weight.
Yep.
And watch this. Further studies of therapeutics using bacteria and systemic inflammation could focus on a glucose modifier of the intestinal barrier, which is what he's saying is that the therapy for type 2 diabetes should be get your gut fixed.
Right.
Now, let's do this. What is the problem with someone who's taking the medication for type 2 diabetes and how it could actually be causing them to have more diabetes? It's because we know the number one most prescribed drug is
metformin.
And there's multitudes of studies here that show metformin destroys the bacteria. Metformin damages your intestines. And watch this. Metformin destroys probiotics. Now, here's what's crazy. We talked about this during the commercial break. For some people, metformin works.
Yeah.
And for other people, it does not.
Does almost nothing.
And they start taking it, and then it like lowers it a little bit, but then their sugars come back up, and their doctor's like, well, just take more. And then it works, and then it doesn't, and it works and it doesn't. Guys, they have research that shows the people that metformin doesn't work in have dysbiosis. And the people that metformin works in have less dysbiosis.
Right.
So let's take this moment to talk about this metformin and how it's not actually fixing the problem, it's technically causing the problem.
Yeah.
So taking the drug is only going to make it worse.
That's what I was just going to say. We've got to state that if you've got, let's say you don't have any dysbiosis. Let's say you've got a great intestinal wall, great intestinal lining, the bacteria concentration is exactly what it's supposed to be, but you're diabetic, and you start taking metformin and you have great results. Well, if you continue on that path of continuously taking metformin, you are on the way towards causing dysbiosis.
Yes. Now, here's something that they've learned. Metformin interferes with a specific kind of bacteria in the intestine, specifically these things that are called butyrate-producing bacteria. Now, I'm not even going to attempt to announce or enunciate Roseburia and Butyrivibrio. Close enough.
Yeah.
Okay. These two bacteria produce butyrate. What's unique about butyrate is it's a short-chain fatty acid that actually stimulates the gut bacteria and helps with fermentation of carbohydrates. So watch. If I ferment a carb, what have I done? I've taken that carbohydrate and I broke it down. So if I have really good fermentation in my intestines, I can lower my blood sugars. Metformin shuts down the butyrate-producing bacteria. And the problem is when short-chain triglycerides and short-chain fatty acids drop, the intestines become inflamed, and then guess what happens? You get dysbiosis. So the very drug that type 2 diabetics take shut off the bacteria in the intestines that should naturally lower their blood sugars.
Wow, that's incredible.
The other problem we know is that metformin conflicts with probiotics. So the challenge I have today, and tell me if you would agree with this, most people are like, oh, you know what, I take a multivitamin, I take a fish oil, and I take a probiotic, I'm healthy. And my gut's good because I take a probiotic. Now, I don't know if you guys know this or not. If I had two probiotics here, and this one has 400 billion, and this one has 85 billion, like, which one are you probably going to buy?
400 billion.
Why?
Because more seems better, right?
Oh, well, it's like everything else. Okay, and if I'm taking 400 billion and there's only 4 strains, then I actually am causing a problem because they estimate that there's 3,000 plus different strains of bacteria in your intestines. So if I had one probiotic that was 24 billion, but it had 17 strains, and then here's this 200 billion or 400 billion with only 4 strains, guess which one is actually better for you?
Yeah.
The one with more strains.
Way more strains.
Now, what's crazy about this thing called the probiotic market is all the marketing has made people think probiotics are good for you. There's probiotics in yogurt. They're even adding it to cereals.
Yep.
They're putting probiotics in everything. There's kombuchas and kavitas and fermented probiotic drinks. But if I'm a marketing company for a probiotic bacteria, I want you to buy my product.
Of course.
So what they've learned is you think that the more expensive ones are better. You think the bigger the probiotic by number, the better. So all I have to do is come out with one that has more, and now I'm going to sell more. But what they're discovering is you can actually cause dysbiosis, help them with this, by taking the same probiotic over and 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 over again, damaging your intestines. Why would
Well,
that
it
be?
would make sense that, right? If you're taking the same, let's just say the same 5 strains over and over and over again, but there's 3,000 plus, that you're slowly just creating this unnatural change where you're basically, you're tipping the scales, right? So now the scales are tipping in favor of just these certain bacteria, and all these other ones over here that had really good purpose are not allowing, they can't proliferate, they can't make more of those bacteria anymore, and that's literally the definition of dysbiosis. The takeover of some bacteria. You've got all these other strains over here going, wait a second, we want to come into the party too. Why are you letting us in?
Exactly. Now listen, here's what they've discovered. Oral supplementation of L-casein, which is if I'm pronouncing this right, cassia, Who knows? Ready? Lactobacillus casei and Bifidobacterium bifidum are the two most common bacteria that help to lower the amount of sugar that's in your blood because they improve resistance to insulin. And guess what metformin destroys? Those specifically. So you need to pay attention to the kinds of probiotics you take, not just the counts. And now's my best part. Ready? How do we fix this thing called dysbiosis? Okay. Number one, we're going to break it into a 4R approach. We have to stop putting in all the crap that has damaged the intestines, and that's typically the food we eat.
Right.
So we're going to talk about a diet change. I'll let you do that.
Yep.
You love exercise as well. So do I, but exercise is a huge thing. We got to talk about that.
Yep.
And then we have to do this thing called replace, and then we have to reinoculate, and then we have to repair. So guys, how you fix a gut is the 4R process. Remove, replace, reinoculate, and repair. So what do they need to remove? And let's talk just briefly about the two biggest foods that kill the bacteria.
Well, food groups, right? Gluten and dairy. So gluten and dairy are going to cause massive amounts of inflammation, and we'd love to go down those pathways at some point. I know we can't today, but that inflammation is what's going to just destroy the bacteria that's in your gut.
Yes.
And so if you want to keep the bacteria around that your body needs, your intestines need them, you have to eliminate gluten and dairy. There's a lot of other great options, so you don't need the gluten and the dairy
And let's
in your diet.
talk about gluten real quick. It's not just in wheat.
Right.
Gluten is in grains. And gluten's a protein.
Mm-hmm.
And casein is a protein that's found in dairy. So some people always argue with us, like, well, does that mean I have to get rid of all dairy? Well, yes, typically the dairy you think dairy is. But if you had a casein-free, like goat's milk, for example, real low casein, right? So yes, you can have goat's milk and things like that. But listen, okay, like the diet, I know what's going to happen. You guys are going to be like, oh, here it comes. I'm going to write all the diet down. We've already done it for you. It's in the ebook. So save time and listen to what we're talking about and download the ebook. The ebook, how do they get that? What's the number?
Just text your name and your email to 704-906-2094.
So we get rid of gluten. We get rid of dairy,
Yep.
which is the casein. And then what's something else that a lot of people engage in to help them relax, and to make them feel good, especially over the weekend, right? We hit Friday, and where are most people heading off to?
Yeah. Hey, there's a happy hour somewhere, right, guys?
So and watch this, right? So we eat fried chicken wings with beer, and man, your gut goes,
right,
because what's the number two thing that destroys the intestines?
Yeah, absolutely, alcohol. And it's not only destroying the intestines, but let's say you're not even diabetic, but you're on your way towards having some sort of blood sugar control issue, some sort of insulin resistance control issue. The liver, which is going to help with so many aspects of that and that control, you're destroying your liver every time you take a sip of alcohol. Right? So it's not just the intestinal lining.
And what technically is alcohol by chemical definition? Sugar.
Yes. Well, there's
Look,
lots,
you know how we know this?
sugar.
There are sugar alcohols, erythritol, xylitol. So if you can have a sugar alcohol, that means that alcohol is also sugar. So think about this. The dairy ranch dressing dip that you're putting your glutinous, probably no longer hormone, antibiotically made chicken
vaccine
dunk
induced
into, that you wash down with your glyphosate-ridden beer or wine. And I know what you're thinking, like, oh my God, like you're taking everything fun away. No, we're not. You can still have grainless chicken wings and dairyless, ranch, and you can have a beverage that is fermented that is not going to destroy you. There are wines that are proven to be uber low, less than 1 gram of sugar, because it's the way they're produced. So alcohol, gluten, dairy. Now, talk to me about exercise and how that can help to repair the microbiome, because this is really fascinating.
Yeah, it is, especially because if you are already predisposed to diabetes, it's going to be really important that, one, you understand that exercise alone is going to help with the control of your blood sugar, right? The ability for your body to take your blood sugar, or sugar that's in your blood, and take it into the cell to use it for energy only heightens when you're exercising,
That's
right? Because when you're exercising, you need to make more energy. So the body has some really unique ways of being able to not bypass the initial system, but give it a boost that's going to help to take the blood sugar, dock it to the cell, and bring it inside to then allow it to use energy. So if you're diabetic in any way, shape, or form, right? Type 1, 2, or 3, or if you're pre-diabetic, or if you have insulin resistance, blood sugar control issues, whatever, Exercise will only help you. It will only help you to regulate your own blood sugar.
And let me prove this to you. There was a study done where they took diabetics and they made them walk for 30 minutes. And they found that the effect of the lowering to their sugars in that 30 minutes was the same as
if they
drug that they had taken.
Whatever
So
drug it was,
you give someone, so let's just pretend both people are at 220 for their blood sugars. Patient A is told to sit in a chair for 30 minutes and they give them a medication.
Right.
And then they see how their sugars came down. Patient B was not given a medication. It was told to walk for 30 minutes. And what happened? The same level of blood sugar lowering. That should make you say, holy smokolas, just get out, start moving your body.
That's right.
It's much better to naturally lower your sugars than to chemically lower them.
And then let's take this to the next level, because based on that University of Pennsylvania study we were chatting about before, where we know that the blood sugar regulation, if it's uncontrolled, is going to directly lead to an inflamed intestine.
Yes.
So by naturally lowering the blood sugar levels, if they're high, you're already starting to repair your gut.
Boom.
You're naturally repairing your gut.
So
there's no need for medication for either one. Instead of saying, oh, I need my medication for my blood sugar, and now I need my medication for the intestinal wall or for my gut dysbiosis or whatever you want to call it. Now you've got one solution for both problems.
Okay, so we did the R. We removed the gluten, the dairy, and the alcohol. We are replacing a form of medication with exercise. We also need to replace all the irritation to the colon. Now, one of the best things that can repair your colon is actually a supplement known as an enzyme. Digestive enzymes break things down. And what a lot of you have are these plaques or like this mucoid plaque. If you really want to have some fun today, go to Google and type in MUCOID, plaque, PLAQUE. That is like a sticky kind of mucousy bacterial substance that sticks to the colon wall, just like cholesterol sticks to an artery causing a plaque, and digestive enzymes can help you to get these plaques out. So we remove the dairy, the gluten, and the alcohol. We replace it with exercise and digestive enzymes. Now, how do we re-inoculate? So you do need to use probiotics, but see, the thing is that you've got to get them formulated for you, or they have to have a multitude of strains. And I hate to say this, but almost every probiotic on the market that's available over the counter is bad. Okay, the real good ones are found in the natural physicians' clinics. We use one called Bodybiotics. It's soil-based, fermented, and it has the Bacillus coagulans. It has the Lactobacillus casei. It has what the science says you need, and you cannot find those generally over the counter.
Well, I like what you just said about it being soil-based. So this isn't just some synthetically created probiotic.
Exactly.
This is coming from the earth.
From the earth.
Which you can't beat that, right? What's naturally needed is already here on Earth, guys.
And as we wrap up today, we're going to hit the fourth R, which is repair. Now, here's what's really cool. Dr. Chris, help me with this. If I want my bone that's broken to repair, what do I have to do?
Well, if it's broken, you have to set it back in place, and then you've got to leave it for a set amount of time so it'll heal.
Yep. So I set it, and I forget it, and it heals. But the setting process is usually you have to remove the stress on the bone.
Right.
You have to replace the normal position.
Yep.
You have to re-inoculate, meaning you stimulate the growth of the bone,
sure, you have
which
to
happens by itself,
that growth process,
and it will repair.
That's right.
So the same process of regenerating a bone is how you regenerate your gut.
Very cool.
Now, how long does it take a bone to grow back together?
Typically, depending on the person, anywhere from 6 to 9 weeks.
Now, how long does it take for your gut lining to be replaced?
I'm going to guess the same exact thing.
No, 14 days.
That's it?
No
way.
You fully regenerate the internal lining of your colon. Now, if your colon only replaced itself every 7 weeks, we'd have a major problem because there's a lot of stuff that damages the colon daily. It's just like our skin. Our skin is replaced every 14 days.
Yep.
If we only replaced our skin every 7 weeks, oh man, it looked like a snake, like leathery. We'd have to break out of a shell. So thank God that he made your gut self-regenerating in just 14 days. So how long does it take for a gut to heal? Ready? Remove for 14 days the stress, replace for 14 days with healthy foods and the good enzymes, re-inoculate with the right kinds of bacteria, and in just 14 days, what can happen?
You'll repair your gut all on its own.
And you can help it with glutamine and licorice and slippery elm bark and marshmallow extracts and marshmallow roots. Those all help to lubricate and rebuild the lining. But guys, it doesn't even require that. It just is time. The greatest thing you can do to heal your gut is fast and get all the crud out, replace it with the good stuff, get a soil-based fermented probiotic bacteria, and just set a 2-week clock.
Yep.
And watch what happens to your sugars in 2 weeks.
Right.
And how do we know this happens?
Down.
Over and over and over with our patients. We see it. Hey, this is the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. We are running out of time. So for the last second, you can get this ebook right now, which is Diabetes Heal Thyself, 704-906-2094. The number again?
Yeah, 704-906-2094.
Thanks for giving us your Saturday. We'll see you each and every week right here on News Talk 1110 WBT.
Enjoy
Peace
your
out.
weekend.
Have a great day,
Bye, guys.
Adios.